Hey guys, welcome back. I'm sitting here with Max Landis, the writer and executive producer for Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency. Yeah, give it up. Here you go. Max, thank you for coming to the show.
This will never not be surreal for me. This has been surreal for me, and it's only gotten weirder. Being on stage at a Comic-Con is bizarre.
It really is.
It really is. Were you a fan?
In a good way.
Did you go to cons before this?
I started as a in the audience.
No, me too.
With the microphone, super fan, and have turned it into a job.
Me too. And my dad's a director who had this incredible career. But what was weird is that a lot of my friends were like, well, I didn't have any friends, but a lot of my peers growing up in that environment were cool. And I was not cool, but then once a year, I'd go to San Diego and everyone I liked would be there and it would just be awesome for 4 days. And then as an adult to end up back at these, it will never stop being weird to be looking out there. Because I never bought tickets in advance. I was never organized. I wasn't smart. So I was always one of the people way back there. And cell phones didn't exist, so I couldn't text when I was bored. I would just be like, yo, that's Guillermo del Toro. He's right there, only 600 feet away from me. Man. And I was one of those kids too. I was 16 in 2001, so I was like, yo, have you seen Fight Club? Nobody saw it, but it's really good. Have you seen Amelie? Did you hear they're gonna make a sequel to The Matrix? That's gonna be awesome. Sorry, I'm so keyed up. Yeah. I've had so much coffee. What are we supposed to be doing?
I think we're supposed to be doing this. We're celebrating the craft and the fans and everything. So yeah, I think it's great. There you go, yeah. But to turn it back to Dirk Gently, we got season 2 coming out on October 14th.
That's right.
Very excited. Can you go into the process of kind of adapting a Douglas Adams thing? Because it feels like a lot of pressure to get right.
Oh, yeah, because you can't.
Right. Yeah, an impossible task.
People ask me this. Adaptations are mostly impossible. You have writers like George R.R. Martin and J.R.R. Tolkien, two totally different writers, right? Other than the weird coincidence of the R.R. and the J sound. J.K. Rowling. But no, so Terry Pratchett, there we're safe. But so what's interesting is that in those books, George R.R. Martin writes as his characters. So that's so much for actors to work with. That's so much for everyone to work with. It's this incredible big world. J.R.R. Tolkien writes like a history professor who heard about the Lord of the Rings. So you're like, in The Hobbit, he's a little bit fun, but in Lord of the Rings, you're just like, okay, and now you're with Tom Bombadil, I guess, and now you're, it's a very slow ride. It's built to be a movie. You want to see that stuff. Did the Balrog have wings? What did it look like? You want to see it. Douglas Adams doesn't write that way. Douglas Adams is the main character of every Douglas Adams book. Douglas Adams is a guy who goes in every other fantasy world, it's like you come down da-na-na-na-na-na into the fantasy world. In Douglas Adams, you are sitting and Douglas Adams goes, hey, you want to hear a weird story? Like that. And so most of the jokes in Douglas Adams stuff, I'm so wired. I had so much coffee. Most of the jokes in Douglas Adams stuff are in the narration, are him talking directly to the reader. Most of the dialogue's funny, but Zaphod Beeblebrox isn't as funny as Douglas Adams. Marvin the Paranoid Android is funny. He's not as funny as hearing a random super long story about a planet with living mattresses. The games he plays are unadaptable. There's a reason direct adaptations of Douglas Adams always feel weird. Even when there are great moments, they feel weird. Because you have to keep in mind, even the original fucking Hitchhiker's Guide was a radio show, and it's not as good as the book because Douglas Adams isn't there talking to you. Hitchhiker's Guide is an adaptation of itself. which a lot of people don't know. And then you have to go even deeper and know that fucking Dirk Gently is an adaptation. Dirk Gently, Douglas Adams worked on a television show. It's a cult show. It's a little weird. I don't know if any of you guys have heard of it. It's called Doctor Who. He worked on this TV show, and he wrote scripts for it, and they got rejected because they were weird and crazy. And this is back before Doctor Who was like super weird and crazy. This was when Doctor Who was still like very cheap. Living trash can is the most dangerous thing in the world. Like all that stuff. So they got rejected, and he was like, well, fuck you. Or he was British version of fuck you. And he wrote Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency, the first book, based off his own scripts for Doctor Who. Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency, the book, is Doctor Who fan fiction. So when you ask me, like, how do you adapt this show, you just have to, like, go a step further. You have to engage more with what he did in Long Dark Tea Time of the Soul. Once he was a more confident writer, he was making up his own stuff. You have to... This girl is glaring at me. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, you. You're okay? No, not you. Easy there, Clockwork Orange. No, I thought you were like... I thought you were mad. I don't know. I have had so much coffee.
Just coffee?
Yeah, just coffee. You don't want to see me on anything else. No, so, Dirk Gently, I go weirder and deeper and harder and crazier into the Douglas Adams tone without trying to adapt directly the Douglas Adams book. Although, massive spoiler for the television show Dirk Gently, I have a plan. I have had a plan. The plan is already present in the first season, and the show is a much closer adaptation of the books than you think it is. But how that's going to play out has not been revealed yet. But you should watch season 2.
Interesting. With a plan like that in mind, do you kind of have like a set number of like seasons, or do you
4.
kind of 4? You're going for 4.
I mean, like, best case scenario, I thought we were going to get canceled after 1. I thought we were going to get canceled midway through the season when they were like, it's a kitten shark. Yeah. And I was like, no. It's a normal kitten, but the shark is inside of it. Yeah, I thought we were done a million times, but, no matter how crazy I went, I was lucky that for the first time, really since Chronicle, I had people who just were there for me and supported me. I had really good experiences on my other movies, most of them, but it was interesting to be able to go, I want it to be this weird, and have people go, okay, how do we make that work? So, yeah, there's a plan.
Do you find that some
all
of
my
that...
answers are like, I start here, and then I go over there, then I'm talking about this, and then I'm done. And there's no answer.
You can kind of see why Dirk Gently is the way it is. And I
hope
mean
that's
that
a good
as a
thing.
huge compliment. Does some of that freedom and support come from this like new age of kind of streaming shows and not being locked into like a network?
Well, it is locked into a network.
Yes, BBC America. And,
Yeah,
and,
but
like, Hulu.
but it's also on
Well,
Netflix
for us, it's all
globally.
Hulu.
It's on Hulu. People forget that TV's always been great. There was this weird thing where they were like, we're in the golden age of TV right now. Weirder shows with stranger premises are getting greenlit. We're experimenting more. It's like, have you seen Quantum Leap? Is that a normal show? Like that was for 7 seasons. Golden Girls had 3 spin-offs. Like TV has always been weird. TV has always been good, and it's always been a writer's medium. You are more supported because you are the only constant. In film, thank you. In film, you are not a constant. You're not even an element. You are a structural piece of a massive collage of art that leaves once the movie is being made most times. In TV, I'm there. I'm with Umpo when he's getting electrocuted in the taxi. I'm walking up to Bart and going, she's not dirty enough. The level of freedom and control they give you is nuts. And you find yourself walking up against barriers of time and money, which are things normally only directors and producers have to deal with. And I wasn't ready. I'm so blessed. blessed. Ugh, blessed. I'm so blessed that I was working with this guy, Rob Cooper, on the first 2 seasons, who now has his own TV show, which is going to be incredible. But he taught me so much about when to show him and when to hold him and when to compromise and when to just go, oh, yeah, I'll compromise. Okay, give me 10 minutes and I'll call you right back. And then call them back in 3 weeks after you shoot it. Like, I mean, and he's a genius. And also Mike's, I say that like we outsmarted the network. I've never worked with better execs than Nena Rodriguez and Michael Joyce. Like, I've never, and by the way, how weird is it to hear a writer talking about the execs at a studio? These people do so much work that you don't see in movies, for good or for bad. They deserve to be named on things because they're so helpful. But seriously, Michael Joyce and Nena this season, the first season, Sarah Barnett, the head of the studio, the level of freedom was crazy, but it's always been there in TV. Drew Goddard is a guy who is a kind of a mentor of mine in some ways. And he said, when I was frustrated by one of my movies being changed significantly, he was like, why aren't you doing TV? And I was like, because TV's dumb. And he was like, do you watch TV? Like, what are you talking about? I was like, yeah, everything on TV is great, but they won't let me do that. And then, does anyone here watch Channel Zero? Come on. Channel Zero is my other show. I have 2 TV shows on right now. One of them's a horror show on Sci-Fi Channel, but it's so much easier and better than working in movies. Watch Channel Zero. It's on right now. It's so good. Does anyone know what creepypasta is? Okay, so I had the idea to Nick and Tosca. You guys need to know about Channel Zero. I'm sorry, BBCA publicist. I'm working for Sci-Fi now. Creepypasta, for those of you who don't know what it is online short-form viral horror stories. And in the old days, these stories would have been published in magazines and collections. This is how Stephen King got his start. It doesn't fucking happen anymore because our society is broken, and now they get posted to fucking Reddit, get a bunch of upvotes, and that counts for writers, and they never get published, and their work doesn't get adapted, and it's not fair. I'm sorry, it's not. Retweets are not the same as money. If you want to make money as an artist, don't give your work away for free. So I had the idea to start buying creepypastas and then turn it into an anthology show. So does anyone know the story Candle Cove? We did that as 6 episodes of television. Craig McNeil directed it. Nick Antosca wrote it with his team. I'm not kidding, it's great. I love it, and I want you to watch it. I didn't write it. I just helped with a little bit of the story the first season, and I'm a producer on it, but I'm pimping my other show. I am so all over the place.
That might be our cue to wrap up.
Oh, no.
Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency Season 2 premieres October 14th. You can watch the entirety of Season 1 on Hulu, and Channel Zero is on Sci-Fi. Is that streaming on their website too?
I think first season is still streaming, but second season, The No End House, which is beautiful and beautifully directed and brilliant, is airing right now on Sci-Fi Channel on Wednesday nights. And by the way, it's really scary. I'm not talking American Horror Story scary. I'm talking like actual scary.
Yeah,
Thank
awesome.
you, everybody.
All right, I'm sold. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you for your patience.
We have a lot more New York Comic Con coverage for you, so stick around. We'll be right back.